Hello, hello, beautiful women of the world. You are here on this incredible global platform, Win-Win Women, where you have so many opportunities to learn about almost everything from experts. So today, since you are here with me, my show is called Your Radiant Life After 45. And I am Dr. Angelika Christie, your show host. So my show, on my show, we talk about skills for healthy, happy, and prosperous women, because I believe in the triad of life, your spirituality, your health, your fitness, and your relationships. And I believe in a world where women are cherished and thrive, because the world needs your light, our light. We women are so needed in this time in history. I help you discover and live your unique gift confidently and with pride. So with over 25 years of professional expertise as a naturopathic doctor, specializing in healthy aging, and as a lifestyle and relationship coach, I share my heart and knowledge with my vast personal life experience. So if this sounds good to you, be my guest here every week on this day, every Saturday. And the time is 3 p.m. Eastern time. Okay, so without further ado, let's begin. So today is the last episode that concerns the brain. Maybe I come back at a later stage, but there are already 3 previous episodes that deal with the brain and how to keep it healthy, because this is the part of us that directs everything, and it's not exchangeable. You cannot replace it, okay? So today I want to explore memory. And also at the very end, I want to give you a resource, how to detox your brain. So memory. It is not unusual to occasionally misplace your keys, or maybe do not recall the name of your friend or colleague. Many things can temporarily worsen our memory, or so that we cannot recall the names and the things. And that are the things that can make it worse are, for example, alcohol. Yes, alcohol consumption can really lower our ability to be sharp and recall. Stress, poor sleep, or even changing time zones, like when I came just a week ago from Utah, not only the height, because of 6,000 feet or so, and then back to sea level, and the time change. It took me almost 2 full days to really recover. So, okay, so that's not to worry about. You get back to your normal self. But when you consistently forget things, or your cognition worsens more than it is expected for your age, or the way you your way of expressing yourself, your level of education, and all of this, if that all declines, then you have to pay attention. So there are certain things that happen with age. Our memory gets slower. We take a little longer to recall things. Things slow down. That's age related. But, you know, there is another term that is not age related, because age related is not a real cognitive decline. And there is a rather frightening term that may be more appropriate than simple forgetfulness, when it's not because of, what I just said, alcohol or time change or poor sleep or anything like that. And it is called MCI, or mild cognitive impairment. This verdict is serious, even though it does not affect your ability to do your daily task at home. And also it may not you may not notice it because you can drive your car, you can do normal things without any problems or without any change. Primarily, your memory is just slipping, you think. For example, you forget that you made an appointment with your friend. Slipped your mind. Oh, you forget birthdays that you used to remember. Now you should pay attention. You may also notice that understanding instructions may become a little more challenging. It may be a little bit more challenging to really focus. I often wondered really what mild cognitive impairment is. And then I looked it up. And it is characterized by deficits in judgment, deficits in attention, ability to pay attention to something. Mild cognitive impairment is the beginning stage of dementia. A person with dementia has challenges keeping, for example, a track of things, including appointments, and even a worsening of special memories often notice, like sudden moments of not knowing where you are. And that's actually the spatial memory that also declines. You know, you're all of a sudden you have these moments that, yes, pay attention. I think it can also be called be disoriented for moments. And those moments, when they get longer with time, and the progression of those, they happen more often. Now you are already in the beginning stages of dementia. The horrific truth is that tens of thousands, maybe even millions of people walk around and do not know that they already have the first or maybe even the second stage of dementia, thinking that it's just temporarily or due to a bad day or stress or maybe an everyday occurrence due to aging. No, it's not normal. And it is high time to take immediate action as soon as you notice these changes. And in the previous episode, I told you that it is really good after 45, and that's what my show is all about, women after 45, to write down these changes. I wish I would have done that. I'm 77 now, and I'm a little bit late to that game. But anyway, in the previous episodes, I shared with you the different and many actions you can take to reverse the early stages of Alzheimer's disease, which may have been developing for maybe 10 or 20 years without you taking notice. Well, there are no genuine issues with the very early stage of Alzheimer's. You may not notice them. I believe that I mentioned it before, but I wanted to reiterate it since I found such a precise description of it, and I want to share that with you. So it says, a person is diagnosed with dementia when her memory, language, and decision-making skills deteriorate to the point of impacting everyday tasks. So, you know, forgetting that you made an appointment, forgetting birthdays, just being disoriented, all these things that I already mentioned. So here is what is often misunderstood, though. Dementia is not a single disease, but a category that indicates an abnormal brain change. And that change indicates a significant decline in thinking and memory. So the most common cause of dementia is Alzheimer's disease, which accounts for 60 to 80% of cases. And it is most common for people to have mixed dementia. And I don't want to go in all of the different, kinds of dementia. You hear it, some celebrities come down with dementia, frontal lobe dementia. There are different kinds of dementia. which is always a combination of 2 or more types of dementia. But other health problems can be also involved, like a brain infection or even thyroid issues or a concussion, right? In sports, we have people with concussions, especially in ice, what is that, where you go down the tunnel? It's not ice skating, it's bobsleds, right? Bobsleds. Ooh. And of course, boxing and many other sports can lead to concussions, but those are temporary, and the symptoms can be reversed with treatment. I know I want to share things that improve your memory and things to detox your brain, since it's a major problem, right? That can lead to Alzheimer's or dementia. It is the toxins in our environment, especially heavy metals and this plaque that accumulates in the brain. Yeah, but before I go there, I want to share a disturbing statistic, which may get your attention. It definitely shocked me, and it may get you started to do everything to prevent this hideous disease. Those hideous categories of brain diseases, and start to prevent it today. And I have given you ample ways within the last 3 episodes in my shows, which focus solely on brain health. But did you know that Alzheimer's disease, also called the memory thief, is the 7th leading cause of death in the United States? And it is rising. And it is estimated to double for people over 65 within the next 25 years alone, or maybe faster, because it's when you see the graph, it's going faster and deeper. I mean, steeper up the hill. So it's over 6.5 million people now, and within the next 25 years, it is supposed to more than double, over 12 million people. I was actually shocked when I read that the leading cause of death in the United Kingdom is Alzheimer's disease. I read it in a scientific paper, but I may need to go a little deeper into it, because really the leading cause, but that's what it said. Alzheimer's disease is still a mystery in many ways, even though scientists know that the abnormalities. My goodness. Now, this is not Alzheimer, but this is my German, who is still sometimes a little bit challenged to translate. When I think a word in German, it's right there. And then my brain, that is already a little slower, has a little bit of a challenge to immediately come up with the English word. Okay. So abnormalities in the affected brain looks what it looks like. And here is what it looks like. They include the beta amyloid plaques. We often hear that, right? That's that brown protein stuff, that the plaque that builds up in your brain between the nerve cells, the neurodegeneration, that blocks communication between the cells, and that results in loss of memory and other cognitive skills. Anyway, go and watch the previous episode to find out more about what actually happens in the brain and how to prevent a possible onset of Alzheimer's as soon as you get into your 40s, because you are at risk as soon as you get into your 40s. Can you believe it? But before I go into some of the things you can do to detoxify your brain, and it will help your entire body to get rid of toxins that create inflammation in your body. And Alzheimer's is some kind of inflammation in your brain as well. But inflammation anywhere in your body is really the first stage of practically any disease. So I want to share with you a more positive discovery about your memory, because this is more about memory than anything else. So experts are discovering that forgetting, right? Forgetting is something that our brain is actually and intelligently wired for. And here is why. When new information supersedes old information, the old information may not be available to you anymore, or not quickly anymore, and that's a good thing. Why is it a good thing? So it doesn't confuse you. You superseded or replaced a new thing with the old one. So your body, your brain gets rid of the old one. Okay, so not to confuse you. And also so that you don't get crowded with too many pieces of unnecessary information. So your brain filters out what is not needed anymore. And actually, that happens mostly when you sleep. That's why sleep is so important. Yes, good sleep. And I only realized that in the last couple of years. I always thought, not always, but very often, I think I gave myself that excuse that sleep is a waste of time. And yes, that was not such a good thing, because I'm a naturopathic doctor and I should have known better. But anyway, your brain gets rid of what is not needed, especially during sleep in the night. So how cool is that? So your brain is smart, and it keeps you focused on what you need to know and what you need to do in the present moment. For example, you may find your car keys quickly, but you may not recall specifics from your conversation with your neighbor earlier around that same time. Your brain focuses on what is important, the moment. I believe that's why it is much earlier to learn a new language in the country rather than learning it at home from a book. Your brain knows that's really not all that important, but if you're in the foreign country where that language is spoken, your brain knows it better pays attention and gets the new language as quickly as possible. Make sense? I think so. But since our environment is always changing, our brain recalls the most important things related to whatever, the changing looks like, the shifting landscape and situation. And it shows that it's doing that in forgetting very specific, maybe less relevant details, so that instead of seeing the trees, you see the forest, when a more generalized approach is called for. You don't get all lost in details. Sometimes you need to see the whole picture, and your brain knows how to do that. What is important and actually useful to know is that events that you want to forget, you actually can forget. How? By continuous suppression of a specific memory. Of course, there are other things. There are, there is hypnotherapy, and there are special therapies that help you. But if you just want to forget something, you can do it yourself by continuous suppression of that specific memory that you want to let go of, until your brain's memory discards it. And the opposite is true also. The more you recall and bring something vividly into your memory, and especially when you add emotions, all your five senses to it, the better you will recall it, and rather even permanently. I found it very interesting, and I think I saw this in a magazine. Which one was that again? But anyway, it was all about the different types of memory. So there are 8 types of memory. And the first one is the transient memory. And that memory decreases over time due to everything that ages in our body. So does our brain to a certain degree. The second one is absent-mindedness. Those are lapses of memory because we are absent-minded, right? So that's the second one, kind of memory that we have. Then the third one is the blocked memory, like I just shared with you. It can also be a temporary blockage of a memory because of certain circumstances. The fourth one is the misattribution of memory. It is a memory that attributes an incorrect source of stored information, including a belief of having, for example, heard something or seen something that it actually didn't. So it's more like an imagination, right? Right? Yes. Then number 5 is suggestibility. That can be, or cannot be, but it can be misinformation due to leading questions. So something is suggested over and over, and you take it on. So, that is some kind of particular memory. And then number 6 is tip of the tongue moments. I have them all the time, where memory is temporarily blocked due to an unavailability for whatever reason. You want to remember it, and it's right there, but it's not, it doesn't come. And it usually just comes right out as soon as you're occupied with something else. You don't really need it anymore. Just like a name, right? You should know the person's name. You see the person, it's right there on the tip of your tongue, but it doesn't come out. And then when the person turned around and it's goodbye, oh my God, bam, the name is there. And you may want to find a way to call the person's name and says, oh, hello, or have some kind of excuse because you felt so bad or ashamed that you didn't remember the name, but now you remember it. So it's a kind of, the tip of the tongue is very often a delayed memory. Number 6 is a bias, retrospective distortion produced by some kind of knowledge, by some current knowledge. Then number 8, persistence. It can be an unwanted recollection of true or false memory. If you have a memory that persists and it persists and it persists, it can be true or false. That is a memory that can be pesty, right? Sometimes we don't want to remember something and it is always there. I found it quite informative when I read this. And it sounds like we humans have terrible memory, terrible capacity for memory. But you see, there is a positive side to it too, which means that less sometimes can be more. So not to over tax or overcrowd our brain. For example, our brain is designed to make information less accessible if we don't use something frequently. So the mind kind of predicts how, and very often correctly, that we don't need something again for future use, which can be incorrect, of course, as well. Because sometimes we just don't use something for a year or two, but then we want to have it, and it's so difficult to recall, right? And here is how this happens too. As we age, our brain fills up with things we learned and experienced. This is actually our treasure chest of knowledge and wisdom. Just as we age, all those volumes of knowledge that take up space in our brain also get a bit dusty, so to speak. So what does that mean? It takes a bit longer to retrieve it. You see, a young person's brain has so much space, while our older brains are overfilled with all that we already have experienced. So do not get impatient with yourself, but love your incredible brain that has unlimited space, actually. And yet, it's also quite extensive. So finding something which is recalling something quickly may take a bit longer than it used to in your younger days. Yeah? Okay. Okay, finally, I get to things that you can do to improve your memory games and fun. Yeah, well, they can be fun. I do not like crossword puzzles. Hate them. I do not enjoy them at all. But I do enjoy some more modern brain challenges that you have on your electronic devices, on my phone, for example. I have one that reminds me every day to take about 10 or 20 minutes to train my brain. Now, that does not mean that I follow the prompts every day. Sometimes it's a week and then I feel guilty not to have done some of the challenges. The one I have is called Impulse. I don't know if you want to look that up. I don't have any connection to it, so I don't get any money if you, I think there is a monthly or yearly charge to it. It is not much. But there are many ways to train your memory. For example, I remember that a few years ago when I trained my memory for a TEDx talk, where I had to remember 20 minutes of a script verbatim, so to speak, I took a course in the mastery of my mind with a teacher. I think it was on Mind Valley, who taught the way of creating a special place to remember things, like a parking lot, a bridge, a building with an elevator and different rooms, and we create the whole story by walking that path with the visuals placed where different parts where I want to place different things of my talk. So it makes sense while I go from my car, the parking space over the bridge into maybe the building, the elevator. And so you get the gist of it, right? But there are other ways. You can do this by packing objects, like if you want to remember groceries, or any list of things or phrases you want to remember, even names of people. So creating a story and visualizing by using all of your 5 senses to train your memory is not only fun, but it's very effective. So I already spoke about food and what to eat and not to eat to support your brain. So I do not want to go back here, but I want to give you a resource in the last 2 minutes here to detox your brain from heavy metals and other toxins like sugar and mold and chemicals. And for this resource, I want to recommend a great book that I actually keep in my kitchen for reference. And here is the book. It's called Brain Saver. And it's by Anthony William. #1 New York bestselling author of Liver Rescue and Cleanse to Heal. Millions of copies are sold in the Medical Medium series. He's also called the Medical Medium, but it has incredible, it's so heavy though, so I can hardly show you. It has incredible recipes and anyway, it's a heavy book. I would recommend it. I think there's also a electronic version because this thing is heavy. But, this is all of these things will help you to not only preserve your brain capacity, but train it so you can actually grow new neurons, synapses, expand your brain rather than it shrinking, because age-related shrinking of the brain is real. And I know mine did, but I discovered all of that just in my 70s. I wish I had discovered what I could do to prevent all of this in my 40s and 50s, like you can. All right. So thank you for your precious time. I'm honored to have your attention and hope that you get value from what I share usually and got value from what I shared with you today here. So your time is precious and I honor that. And thank you for the privilege of your time. So until next Saturday, make each day outstanding. Laugh often, love yourself more, and share your beautiful life with the world, starting with your closest circle of family and friends, community, and out in the world. Yes, yes. And as always, I am your fan. I stand right behind you. And this is your show, my show, but you are watching my show, Your Radiant Life Over 45. Bye-bye for now.